There is a box sitting in the laundry aisle of every grocery store right now, priced at $4, that will do more for a struggling tomato plant than most of what fills an entire wall of the garden center. Not a little more, measurably, documentably more. And the reason almost nobody knows this is not complicated. It is just the ordinary way that cheap, unbranded solutions get quietly crowded out when there is real money to be made selling you something else. 2 level teaspoons, 1 gallon of warm water. Twice a season, that is the whole thing. And by the time you finish watching this, you will understand exactly why it works, why it disappeared from common knowledge, and why the tomatoes in your backyard or on your patio are almost certainly starving for the one nutrient that no bag in that garden center actually replaces. Most people who grow tomatoes hit the same wall every August. The plant looks incredible. Deep green, strong stems, healthy and lush in a way that makes you feel like you're doing everything right. And then you look for the fruit and find a handful of small, hollow tomatoes with that ugly brown puckering at the blossom end, cracked shoulders, blotchy ripening where half the tomato goes red and the other half stays hard and pale. The flowers opened, they yellowed, and they dropped. Again and again, all season long, and nobody can tell you why. The usual advice is more fertilizer, better variety, different bed, different soil. You spend more, you try more. And next August, same wall. Here is what nobody in the fertilizer aisle is going to volunteer. The problem is almost never nitrogen. It is almost never the big 3. Nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, the nutrients that every bag on the shelf is built around. The problem, in a very large share of underperforming home gardens, is boron. A micronutrient, something a tomato needs only in trace amounts, but needs so specifically and so critically that without it, the entire fruiting process simply stalls. The flowers cannot complete their job. The sugars cannot move. The plant keeps growing beautifully and producing almost nothing. And the fix is not a specialty product. It never was. It is plain borax, sodium tetraborate, the same compound that has been sold as a laundry aid since the 1800s, in a cardboard box with a yellow label for about $4. Boron has a particular history with tomatoes that goes back to the agricultural crisis, years of the early 20th century. Soil scientists working at federal research stations in the 1930s were trying to understand why vegetable yields were collapsing across large stretches of American farmland. And part of what they found was that many soils, particularly those that had been cultivated hard, limed repeatedly, or were naturally sandy or clay heavy, were critically low in available boron. A government bulletin published in 1939 documented tomato trials where plots receiving a small measured boron supplement produced more than 4 times the marketable fruit of identical plots right beside them that received none, 4 times. That information went out free to county extension offices across the country and was standard practical advice for home gardeners for decades. Then, somewhere in the middle of the 1960s, it quietly stopped being reprinted. Not banned, not disproven, just allowed to fade. The reason boron matters so specifically to tomatoes comes down to 3 biological jobs that nothing else can substitute for. First, boron cross-links the pectin inside plant cell walls, the structural glue that lets a developing fruit swell to full size without cracking or splitting across the shoulders. Second, and this is the central mechanism, boron is what allows a pollen tube to complete its journey. When a pollen grain lands on a tomato flower, fertilization is not finished at that moment. The pollen has to grow a microscopic tube down through the flower into the ovary to actually set the fruit. That tube growth is one of the most boron-dependent processes in plant biology. A boron-starved flower can have perfectly viable pollen sitting on a perfectly receptive stigma and still drop without setting because the tube cannot finish the trip. Every flower you have watched yellow and fall off the vine. That is the mechanism. Third, boron moves sugar. It carries the photosynthate from the leaves into the developing fruit. When it is short, the tomatoes that do set come in watery, pale-tasting forgettable. When it is ripe, the sweetness climbs in a way you can taste in a single bite. The reason most home gardens are short on boron is not careless gardening. It is geography and history working against you quietly. The tomato evolved on the volcanic slopes of the Andes in soils naturally 2 to 4 times richer in boron than most North American garden soil. Its entire flowering biology was tuned over thousands of years to an abundance that simply does not exist in glaciated northern soils, in sandy coastal ground, or in the heavy clay many suburban gardeners are working with. Add a century of hard cultivation pulling trace elements out of the soil and never returning them. Add the liming that most gardeners do to adjust pH, which binds up available boron and locks it away from roots, and you get a widespread continent-scale deficiency that most standard soil tests do not even measure and that most general fertilizers contain no answer to. The gardener has no idea. The bag on the shelf does not mention it, so the wall in August keeps appearing year after year. The commercial fertilizer industry is not a conspiracy, but it is a business. There's real money in a $30 or $40 bag of specialty tomato food with a glossy label and a smiling photograph of fruit. There is repeat business in getting you to come back every spring for another one. There's no money at all in pointing you down the aisle to a $4 box that will last you through a decade of growing seasons. Nobody can patent borax. Nobody can build a brand around it. So the $4 answer gets no shelf space in the conversation, and the $40 answer gets the whole aisle. The method itself is exact, and the exactness matters. You take 2 level teaspoons of plain borax, check the ingredient label. It should read sodium tetraborate and nothing else, no fragrances, no detergent blends, nothing added. And you dissolve them completely in 1 full gallon of warm water, around 100 degrees, the temperature of comfortable bath water. Stir or shake for 30 to 45 seconds until no crystals remain at the bottom. Let it sit 10 minutes, then shake once more. That gallon of solution will treat between 20 and 30 mature tomato plants at about 1.5 cups to 2 cups, poured slowly around the base of each one. Timing matters as much as dose. The first application goes on when the plant is just beginning to open its first flower clusters, typically 4 to 6 weeks after transplanting. The visual cue is small yellow flowers appearing on the lower branches, with perhaps the very first ones just beginning to fade. That is the moment the plant's boron demand is ramping up sharply. A well-timed dose at that stage dramatically increases the share of flowers that set fruit rather than drop, and fruit set is the single number that decides your whole season. The second application goes on when those first fruits have reached roughly golf ball size, 8 to 10 weeks after transplanting. That is when the plant is loading sugar into multiple clusters simultaneously, and the second dose holds the boron level steady right through the heaviest production window. Apply both times in the early morning or evening, never in midday heat, pouring in a slow circle 3 or 4 inches back from the main stem where the feeder roots actually live. Now the part that genuinely matters for safety, because this is where the method can go wrong. Boron is beneficial in a small, precise amount and damaging in a large one. The margin between helpful and harmful is narrower than it is with ordinary fertilizer, and this is not a place for approximation. 2 level teaspoons is not a starting point to adjust upward from. It is a calculated dose, and it is the dose. If you double it, thinking you will double the result, you will not double anything. You will see leaf edges turning yellow and brown, new growth curling and distorting, and fruit production dropping. An overdosed plant looks almost identical to a deficient one, and it is far harder to fix because the excess is already in the soil. More than twice a season is not a larger harvest. It is a damaged bed. Keep the box stored out of reach of children and pets. Label any mixing container clearly, and treat it with the same care you would give any household cleaner. Used at the correct dose, it has been part of safe home gardening practice for well over a century. There is something worth sitting with at the end of all this. The information in that 1939 bulletin was never wrong. The science behind pollen tube growth and boron dependency was not revised or overturned. It was simply not talked about. The fix did not stop working. It was just slowly buried under better-looking packaging, and a generation or two of gardeners grew up without ever hearing the word boron mentioned. That is the only thing that ever threatens this kind of knowledge. Not obsolescence, not being disproven, just being quietly not passed on. This is Hidden Fix Lab. Try the 2 teaspoons on your plants this season. Come back and tell us what happened in August. And if someone in your family kept a box of borax on the garage shelf for the garden years ago, write that down in the comments, because someone else reading it will recognize exactly what their grandmother knew that they forgot to ask about before it was too late.